Hello, all you hardcores out there. How are you doing? Russ here from Porkys Corner, the biggest gob in sport. You know the rest. Sponsors are pinned up in comment section. Go and have a nosy. Remember, health is wealth. That's a company called Human Nutrients down here in the West Midlands. If you get bored of this, we've got Porkys International on YouTube. Right, I'm not going to mess about today. I'm just going to go balls deep. All right, no one is safe today while I'm on my soapbox. Right, let's get stuck right in. Plenty bullet points here to go at. Here we go. Porky, why did Super Bean out Ricky Hatton at Sky after a year? I don't know. Jane Couch put is it Insta or Twitter thing out? It says, and quote, Jane Couch, MBE, and obviously got blue tick then because she's famous, former world champion. I remember when Rick set up Atom Promotions, Adam Smith was head of Sky then. Ricky got a Sky deal, but they cancelled it after a year. I could never understand them doing that with Ricky and Adam being such close friends, but maybe it was the people above Adam. Great speech at the funeral, though. That's from Jane Couch. Maybe she might have a point there. Obviously, Ricky got thrown to Wolves, didn't he, with Frank Maloney and Bricktop back in the day, and they gave Eddie Hills an exclusive. And Bean ended up doing matchroom gigs for darts for Eddie Hills and his dad Barry Epstein and horse racing and all sorts. So, did Bean fill his boots? I don't know. I don't know. But do I care? Yeah, of course I care. But so much for being best mates on that one, eh? Pop, pop, bang. What else have we got here? It's all a bit mumbled up, what people have sent me. Porky, don't even get me started with Juggy as Oliver going on about the lazy rhino being fit, etc., etc., and a world class chin and power FFS. For fuck's sake. Porky, he has stopped. Nick Webb, Lucas Brown, Elmer Fudd, the end. Well, we can say that. The lazy rhino's got a world class chin, but for how much longer though? I don't know about power, but he has stopped Webb and Brown and Fisher, or AKA Fudd. So there's your answer to that one. Uh, Porky, what do you think about Paul Smith backtracking on Talksport regarding calling the lazy rhino a gimmick? Well, he's going to do, Annie. He probably had his knuckles wrapped. Retreat, 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 retreat. Reminds me when he fought Tony Warrior Dodson. Every time he got clipped, he retreated and held on. So it is what it is. Bit disappointing from Paul Smith. Is the lazy rhino a gimmick? Is Johnny Fisher a gimmick? I say yes. If not, what's the best wins? So there you go. Porky, was it a severe beatdown for the rhino? Yeah, I think it was, and that'll leave damage in the future. Not now, but in the future. It'll come back to haunt him. Plodding forward, not throwing anything, and open your opponent tyres. It's not a great game plan. I thought his trainer, Jamie Gimme Moore, and fireman Sam were supposed to be boxing gurus, aren't they, according to Super Bean? But like I've just said there, plodding forward and taking shots, it's no good. And open the tyre, it's no good at all. He was supposed to be going to be fit, super fit, we were told. He's still 2 stone heavier than when he was with Dennis Hobson at the beginning of his career. Where's that 2 stone come from? So we were sold a load of knackers. People need to go and speak to some media from Sheffield. They were saw him get on scales and they were gasping. We're all led to believe he were going to get on scales looking like an Adonis. 16 and a half stone, except he jumped on scales, didn't he? Where he did. So he was £30 heavier than what everybody was saying he were going to be. Pop, pop, bang. So, but like I said, he got his head punched off. It is what it is. What I'm worried about is he's no spring chicken now, 34-year-old. Somebody's going to put him out cold soon. That chin won't last forever. And then they'll be on to the next guy to feast off. So, who's looking out for the lazy rhino? Or is it just a cash grab and he ain't got no respect for himself? I don't know. Porky, it's just a matter of time. Now, all these washed up guys hanging around boxing, someone's going to end up on the slab soon. Chisora, Joe Joyce, Rhino, Dylan White, Joshua, all shot to shit. Correct. There's talk this morning about Dylan White against a lazy Rhino. I said that 2 weeks ago. IFL have put something out there testing the public's opinion to see what the feedback is. But who wants to see that? I mean, would they even throw any punches, pair of them? There's talk about Yui against Rhino. Would they throw any punches? Oh my God. Porky, do you think you're making a change in boxing, going after the fighters, managers and promoters? No, I don't think I have. In the last 8 years, I don't think I have, no. I think what I should have concentrated on really is going after the media, especially the commentators, because it all starts with them with their biased commentary. And then we have the Sunday sermons and the Monday Mass by the same 13, 14, 15 people going on 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 different channels and repeating the same knackers. I should really go after the media, shouldn't I, really? That's what I should do, but hey ho. Porky, in an era of rematches, we've just. Oh, well, they're on about Talksport now. This is Jonathan. Porky, in an era of rematches so far, no one has mentioned Boatsi against Callum Smith rematch for all the marbles. Well, it'd be for a WBO interim slot, wouldn't it? No, nobody has mentioned Boatsi against Callum Smith, and Callum Smith didn't mention it in his Talksport interview with Jim Royal, his brother, and Judge Jordan and Juggiers Oliver. Nobody mentioned the Boatsi rematch. Pop, pop, bang. So, good point made there. Keep the questions coming in. Porkycorner at mail.com. The Gad saying that Judge Jordan was rude to Spotty Frank Smith at Matchroom. Who cares? How's that a headline? PC Gully of the Yard, Officer Dibble, Boxing King Media, serving policeman, keeps repeating that the show was 10,000 sellout. The website says 6,257. Pop, pop, bang. Black curtains were up and they had the lights up as well to dim it. So there you go. Pop, pop, poppity pop. Porky, can people let Ricky Hatton rest in peace now instead of coming out doing daily sermons for their own personal self-importance and PR? Do you agree? Well, I keep seeing him every day. If it's not Adam Smith, it's Paul Speak or Coogan Cassius or everybody. I mean, Coogan didn't even get into weight, did he? Which is pretty sad, really, because they were mates. But I don't know. But let the kid rest now and let his family grieve. Let him rest in peace and let his family grieve. He's got 3 kids, mum and dad, and a brother, and in-laws, cousins, and that. So let his family grieve. So that's what I say. But we're going to have Adam Smith there going on about the foundation, this and that, and blah, blah, blah. Who'd want to trust him with any money? Big gambler Adam Smith, pop, pop, bang. So there you go. Porky, certain fighters making out they're the people's champion, yet having orgies with female fighters that they train, 3 in a bed, girl on girl, and boy on both girls. I think we all know what I'm on about here. Promising young female fighters slots on matchroom shows and then taking them to bed. I don't know. It is what it is. I hope that's not too heavy for any of you 48-year-old virgins out there talking about orgies and threesomes. You know, those of you that are trolls and live with your mum and dad. But the same person, this so-called people's champion, managing fighters and training fighters, like he knows a lot about training and managing. Look at his own career, how it's gone. Well, not to mention training teenage young lads and putting them in his garden in their underpants. What do we think of that? In the rain to toughen them up. Oh my God. Still no mention about Steve Gray's judging from Talksport or any other channel taking 2 points off Mac Midoff What do you think to that, Porky? Well, I think it was disgusting. That could the fix have been in? Well, only Steve Gray and the people behind the scenes at Matchroom know about that, but them 2 points come from nowhere. If that had been a British fighter in Vegas or Saudi or Germany, there would have been hell to pay on social media from Eddie Hills's minions and all his little YouTube bumlickers with access. They'd have had to go into bat, wouldn't they, if that had happened to AJ or Crusher Ben? Do you know what I mean? But Jug Ears Oliver backtracking on his Rhino prediction. What is it with these media guys? They're all experts after the fact. Oh, well, we got carried away with our hearts and all that. Talk facts. 34-year-old men don't all of a sudden become Pernell Whitaker overnight. They're not going to go from throwing 6-8 punches around to 68, are they, overnight? Get a grip of yourself. Leopards don't change their spots, but you all bought into it. But the same people were all backtracking once they seen what he weighed in at. They thought, oh my God, he's 2 stone heavier than what we thought he'd be. But they have to do as they're told. You know what I mean? So, Porky, will you ever go after the establishment? Well, the establishment in boxing at the moment is TalkSport, innit? That's the establishment, even though they've got a quarter of the following of IFL and Boxing King Media, the Coppers channel. They've got a quarter of their following, but look at the views they get. Does that mean that the other YouTube channels are cheating with the subs? You bet it does. Threesomes and orgies and young lads in underpants whose fathers came down and said, my son's not training here no more. He's going to be training at the Ingle Gym next. And he did. So we all know who that is, don't we? Eh? But it is what it is. It's boxing. People make out of these characters. They're portraying themselves as things they're not. But once you scratch the surface and you piss people off in industry who you've been working with, when you leave them people, they come running to the pork for justice. Because they know they can give me bullets to fire because I don't care. I don't fear anybody in boxing. Who can stop me doing these videos? Who? As long as I stay within the boundaries. Who can stop me doing these videos? Nobody. There you go. Porky, will Fabio Wardley beat Parker? You bet. I'm Team Fabio. Porky, why is Jug Ears Oliver always bigging up Fireman Sam and Jamie Gimme More? Eh? Why are they telling us that Rhino's always in shape? Look, it's a tired old one, that now. It's boring me to death now. I don't know. You better go and ask Jamie Gimme More and Fireman Sam. But knackers, they've been chatting about Rhino being a world champion and he's got a six-pack. It's all knackers. Absolute knackers. But Fabio Wardley can win a world title if matched correctly. Porky, will Pulev come back against John Coffey? Well, that's what they're talking about, aren't they? 45-year-old Pulev against John Coffey to pinch a regular WBA. We will soon see. Watch this space. Porky, what do you think about Callum Smith asking for too much to fight David Benavidez? I don't think Callum Smith's got any knackers. If he did, he'd fight Joshua Boatse in a rematch because we're in the era of rematch, repeat. But we don't hear any noise from Callum Smith about having a rematch, do we? Pop, pop, bang. Turkeys asked for David Morrell against Callum Smith, but Callum Smith won't take that fight in January. Watch this space. They're dropping Turkey's name enough with Jim Royal on TalkSport. We will see. Moses Atome, his team, the Housewives' favourite, Francis Warren and co. Calling out Usyk and any other man and any other bad man from Philly. Well, only bad man they're going to fight is Sinbad from Brookside. They're not going to put him near anybody with a heartbeat. So, how about Fabio Wardley against Moses Atome? Can Moses Atome hold a shot? Let's have him in with Fabio. That's what I say. Puppy Parsons sat watching the TV with Eddie Hills on his lap, practically. And Jack the Cat Cattrall was there, watching the Rhino fight. Oh my God, stop the press. Porky, John Fury eats rabbit stew out the pot on the hard road. Dave Allen eats farm food pasties for breakfast with cans of full-fat cola. Tommy Fury eats Dunkin' Donuts. Huey Fury eats wild boar meat. Porky's Corner drinks protein shakes. Diet shakes, mate. It's called Diet Whey and it's called Shreds. 45 quid a tub for 4 kilo. Pop, pop, bang. That's kilo of Diet Whey, not kilo of beak. I wish. And Mad Max eats 16-inch pizzas. You know, the crusty ones. Pop, pop, bang. Rhino Porky has done 29 videos since the fight, waffling shite. He's going to sit down with Jamie Gimme Moore in January. That means 3 months of slobbing it out. He's already had a big Sunday dinner at his mummy's and a KFC. He does right after that fight. I'd have done the same thing if I could get it down me. He's punch drunk. The board need to stop it. He reckons he's going to do a tour of the country in 6 rounders. Then 5 minutes later on Insta, he's retiring. Then he's begging for the Johnny Fisher free. Is Elmer Fudd, not Johnny Fisher, by the way. Then he's begging for the Elmer Fudd free trilogy. Now he's saying he's not my friend, really, as you called it, Big P. Big Freeze wins British. He won't want that fight, though, will he? Where does he go next? Stick him on with Huey. Winner stays on. Jamie Gimme Moore's got a lot of stick on Twitter saying he's not a world-class trainer and the game plan was shit. So I don't know if Jamie said that. I don't know if that's just waffle, but very funny that, Mikey Jones. Keep them coming. In other news, Deontay Wilder against Joshua in Africa is close to being done. According to Big Malk, sat behind his big desk with his big bins on, puffing coolly on a large bifter. You thought I were going to say Cuban then, didn't you? But no, I said bifter. Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder. Let me just say that to you boxing fans who are new to the party. In 2017, April, that's 8.5 years ago, Matchroom and Sky Sports flew Deontay Wilder over to England. They paid him a fortune to be a pundit ringside. That was the day that Tony Bellew said, "Oh, I've just had a hug with Wilder. I don't want to fight him now, even though I've been calling him out." Now, point I want to make is this. Wilder was going to fight the winner of Vladimir Joshua. Joshua won in a life and death. There was a rematch clause. He didn't take it because he got dropped. He stayed well away from Vladimir. Since then, Joshua's been found out. He's been wrapped in cotton wool 8.5 years. Right, the point I want to make is that fight should have happened in October 17. So it should have happened 8 years ago because you give Joshua 2 fights a year. 6 months at April 17 takes you to October 17. So it's 8 years too late and it's still not been made. So we're going into the 9th year about next April since it was first talked about seriously. And it was talked about from 2015-16, wasn't it? The point I want to make is this. If they put him in with Wilder and he gets clipped, there's no Fury fight because he might get his lights put out because Wilder has still got a bit of power if he lands, even though he can't pull the trigger. So I don't think they'll go for that fight unless it's a 2-fight deal, mega money in Nigeria. But then again, with how boxing's going now, they could still spin a 2-fight Fury deal, couldn't they? But the smart talk at the moment is Usyk Fury trilogy. Now, that'd do Tyson Fury's ego massively because he could then say, well, I fought the best. If it went to points, he could say he won anyway. And you'd have to agree with him if you're a YouTuber or that Asgi Atard. You know, that Tyson Fury human monitor lizard. Asgi, Tyson shits out that hole. Why would you want to put your tongue up there? Just keep it round his toenails, not up his ringer. So Usyk Fury 3, I don't want to see it. But if Tyson loses to Usyk again, the Joshua fight's still there and he's fought Wilder 3 times. So maybe it's all falling into place. Maybe Fury's going to fight Usyk for a 3rd time and get bladdered. And then Joshua's going to fight Wilder. Do you know what I mean? And then Fury. So it is what it is, but they'd love to get him in with Rhino, wouldn't they? But I don't think they're going with Macbeth because if he gets clipped, it's a one-way ticket to Jupiter, innit? Do you know what I mean? But why are TalkSport even bigging that fight up? Why? Because they're told to. And this is the problem we've got in boxing. Boxing fans and boxing casuals drive the sport, but mainly the casuals do. They're not hardcore like me. I know what's going on in the sport. I've worked in the industry. I get to see it. I study the game. I know what these people's next moves are going to be. It's all about getting the money and swerving certain people. When they don't want to fight, you price yourself out of it. It's very simple. Bricktop's words, but yeah, that's all they do, innit? That's all they do. But Talksport are now a massive problem in the sport. And fighters realise that if they butter these people up and befriend them at shows, they're always going to get favours in the media. They're going to get a bit of filming on Talksport. They'll get 500 quid and a first class ticket to London and a hotel. So they're basically on a jolly up, aren't they? So they're going to pal these people up like Juggy as Oliver with his bad hair transplant, the Gad with his pony sunglasses, and Simon Jordan, with his fancy gold watch. But point I want to make is these people, they know they're spouting shit, but they've got to go with certain narratives, haven't they? Otherwise, they're down the road. And that's the problem in the sport today. I've studied it at length last 48 hours, and it's the media. They're being manipulated by fighters and people in the industry who are very slick because they want reflected glory. Look at Gareth A. Davis basking in the ring when Rhino said, and I quote, "Forget what certain people say about Gareth A. Davis. He's a top fellow and he's always treated me right." Since then, we've had 12 interviews from Gareth A. Davis across social media, all with titles regarding the Rhino or whatever he says or does. All I do is point this out. That's the media being softened up. Gareth A. Davis used to go in very hard on Tyson Fury back in the day when he were at the Daily Telegraph. When Tyson came back after that drug ban or whatever it were after Vladimir, he softened Gareth A. Davis up. Gareth got in at Talksport, and the rest, as they say, is history. He became a PR guy for Tyson Fury, and that's what the Gad and Talksport are now for the Rhino. Nobody mentioned anything today in that interview about fitness or weight. They all said he was in the shape of his life. Well, how can he be? If he's over 2 stone heavier than when he was first started out as an heavyweight, when he looked in good nick. How can that be? If he can be a bridgerweight then, why can't he be a bridgerweight now? He's still an adult because he don't want to put the time in. You know what I mean? They're going to tell boxing fans, yeah, I'm in shape of my life, this and that. They're not, but they're going to keep getting opportunities because they've built their names upon social media, and that's just how boxing's gone at the moment. But it's only me banging drum, innit? Talksport are not banging drum. What they're doing, channels like Talksport and Boxing King Media, and the people who work there, like Paul Smith, they see what I put out, and then they take stuff from it and add their own little bit to it, and then they ask questions after. I'm the flag bearer to what needs to be asked. I know that because I've heard back. So I'm quite proud of that. But being shadow banned, what can I do? All I can do is treat this as a hobby and keep moving forward, doing my best. But keep watching what happens and keep studying what I do, and then you'll see them ask the questions after I come out with it. Okie dokie. Not that I'm saying they want any credit for it, but I know what this is. It's technically a shakedown, isn't it, of my channel for material. But hey ho, you live and learn, don't you? I've always been a renegade, but I do get pissed off when people say that my channel's a fucking cult. It ain't a cult. All right, it's for hardcore channels. It's not a cult. Cults are for people like weirdos who walk about in black Doc Martens. Do you know what I mean? No. Go on, peace out. Thanks for liking and subscribing and leaving a comment. Don't forget to go and check out my sister channel, Porkys International YouTube. I'll go and have a look on there. I think there's 30 odd videos on there now, all good stuff. And if you get bored of listening to me and you want to treat yourself, go and have a look at my sponsor's product, Human Nutrients. Good company to work with. Company down here. That's pinned in the comments section. Remember, health is wealth, ladies and gentlemen. Look after your health. Don't be like me, blowing up to £400 and then deciding to get down to £125. That's no good. I'm all right at the moment, though. 165. Okie dokie. Peace out. Booyaka. Pop, pop, bang. Big shout out to my mate, Mark from Stoke. Hope you're well. Cheers for sharing the videos. And that's about it, ladies and gentlemen. Pop, pop, bang. Max, I'm not talking to you. I've heard you've been on stuffed crusty pizza run again. That's no good, Max. You are not in camp. Max, going to the gym and chatting birds up in the gym doesn't mean you're in camp. Booyaka.